welcome. We started these EQU live shows because of the popularity of the EQU podcast. So tonight on the EQU Power Hour, we are thrilled to have with us Anna Ivette Morales. She is LV92 way back in the day in 2010. So Anna is a 15-year graduate. She is also a seasoned mortgage professional with over 20 years of experience in the lending industry. She is the founder and principal broker of Anova Mortgage. And together with her team, they have helped thousands of families achieve their dream of home ownership. She's held leadership roles at a variety of mortgage companies, and she consistently ranks among the top 250 originators nationwide. Anna believes that mindset and clarity about your goals has a 100% impact on your success. So we invited her here to share with us how to create a money mindset. And so, Anna, we are so blessed to have you here with us tonight to teach us about how to develop our money mindset.
My goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. You know what? The money conversations, that's always such a beautiful topic, but it's also a really sensitive topic. I remember growing up, I grew up in Mexico, Michoacán, this little town that is called Vista Hermosa. If you translate it, it's the beautiful sight. Two words, beautiful sight. And we called it the little town of the two lights because it was neither beautiful and it had no sight to be seen. It was like the town of the two lights. Growing up, conversations about money, they were never brought up. In the Latino culture, that's a conversation that people don't always have. How do you build wealth, or what exactly are the tools or the mindset, or how do you even get started on adding a few zeros to your bank account? That is really not a conversation that anybody has. On the contrary, the conversations that I remember I would have with my dad and my mom was work hard, go to school, nothing wrong with it, get a 9 to 5 job, get a good salary. You can be making 40, 50, $60,000 a year and you're going to be set. And looking back, it's like $60,000 a year. Interesting. Okay. I got my first lesson in life when it was roughly 13 years ago that I became a single mom for my first time. Single mom. My dad had just passed away. I was living on my own and I was raising my three kids. My 14-year-old, my 6-year-old, and my baby girl. And I was completely on my own. And I realized a salary of 40, 50, 60,000 was not going to cut it, not to raise three kids. If I started looking into the future, it was not going to be enough for us. And I remember being on my own for the first time, looking at my bank account, being in commission and sales because I didn't have a salary. I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I was like, there's a way, right? Building wealth, entrepreneur, building a business. That's what takes you there. Well, the first time that I lived on my own and I was building my career as a mortgage loan officer, my bank account was at zero. And there was like, food, that I needed to buy, rent. And I remember like, what am I going to do? What's my next step here? And during that moment, the only thing that came to mind was, okay, I'm going to break my oldest piggy bank because I need money. I need to buy my kids food. I have like no money right now. So I remember I broke his piggy bank and I believe there was probably like $40 in there. So back in the day, 13 years ago, $40. I remember going to the grocery store. I bought milk, bread, cereal, the essentials, peanut butter and jelly, diapers, and formula. That's all I could afford. And I went in the bathroom, super scared, because I was like, I don't have a dad that I can call. I don't have a husband that's going to take care of me. How am I going to make this work? Part of like the tools and the mindset that I remember it helped me a lot is I graduated from LV92 about a year and a half prior to that happening. And I sat in the bathroom and I meditated. I meditated and I was like, okay, I can't fix this today, but I will not be in the same position that I am today. I will not be a year from now. And what I do today will impact the results that I have a year from now. So I remember I meditated and I was like, okay, what's going to be next? Well, my phone has to start ringing. I got to start bringing sales. I got to help families achieve homeownership. And 2 days later, my phone rang from a brand new real estate agent that I had been building a relationship with, that I actually met through our trainings at ChoiceCenter. And she started sending me business. We started helping families achieving homeownership. And I remember like my first check from that was roughly maybe like $6,000, right? And I was like, 6,000, how many more families can I help, right? So then I started focusing like, okay, let's help more families achieve wealth, achieve homeownership, help them build wealth, help them have that mentality that if you take it one step at a time, one person at a time, if I help somebody else achieve their goals at the same time, that will come back to me. That following year, I broke the $100,000. Like I made more than 100,000. When you look at statistics for Latinas, single mothers, Latinas that were making more than 100,000, it was less than the 10 percentile, less than 10 percentile nationwide, right? Of Latinas mothers that were making back in the day more than 100,000, it was unheard of. And that's where the mentality started shifting. It's like, okay, first of all, I get to be grateful no matter what. Because looking back, I had $40 to buy food, to buy diapers, to buy formula. That was not like the breaking point, right? That was not going to be the story that was going to plug me in. That was going to be the beginning of the changes that were going to follow throughout. And if I look back, like from today, if I look back the last 10 years, financially I was able to provide for my three kids. Like my oldest son, he just turned 27, a civil engineer. My middle child, he's 19, he's a Marine, Asian in San Diego. My daughter, 14, a teenager, she's like a mini me. So she's the one that's gonna give me like the gray hairs. She's the one that says, Mom, you're an ATM, right? Like, let's go shopping. But overall, the mentality, the shifting those limiting beliefs, knowing that whatever I came from or whatever journey was my childhood, that was not going to determine the results that I have now. That I've always had a choice. I've always had a choice of shifting and thinking differently. There's so much knowledge out there. There's so many people out there that the more you hang out with those people with different mentality, then you start learning what you didn't know you had. So I this is why I believe that not only the trainings at Choice Center, like every single training, every time that I feel like I'm okay, I'm getting to a point that I'm like stuck or I'm not really sure where to go next. I always go back and I do a new training and I learn a new tool and I learn a new tactic, and then it pushes me to the next level in my life. And yeah, and it's really becoming conscious on the conversations that I have, the mentality, the stories that I tell myself, because I no longer tell myself stories. I just tell that has been part of my journey. And thanks to that journey, I am becoming and transforming to the woman that I am now and the mother that I am now. And with this information, I hope that I can inspire other women to know that we all have the tools, we all have the abilities. When we acknowledge all of those limiting beliefs and we become conscious of all those limiting beliefs and all those stories that have limited us in the past, we don't give them any power, we don't give any energy, then we can start telling ourselves a different story. Like I remember a few years ago when I bought my first house as a single mother and I got the keys to my house, and I mean I was so proud of myself Because for the first time, I had just bought my house for my kids. It was a beautiful 5 bedroom, 2 story, brand new. I bought it from a builder, and walking in and for my kids to have their own room and be able to provide that for them, it was such a satisfaction that nobody can ever take that away. And ever since, I've moved so many times. I've always had like so many properties that I go everywhere. My younger daughter, she was like, "Can we stay like at this house forever?" I'm like, "Nope, not yet." Because one of the conversations that I have with myself, it's like, do not become complacent. Don't get too comfortable. Go after the next thing that you like. The more uncomfortable it feels, that's where it is. If there's a certain fear that I can see and I can notice, that's what it is. If my heart says that's where we get to go, but my mind says, ooh, I don't know, and it starts putting limitations, that's where it is. My heart already knows that that's what I'm meant to have. My heart already knows what I'm supposed to be achieving, but I have a choice whether I let my conversations, my inner conversations stop me, or if I connect myself to that vision or that dream that I have, and then I just take it one step at a time. Just go one step at a time, one day at a time, one piggy bank at a time, just one day at a time. So for anybody that's listening, and if you get a couple things from this podcast or this journey, one of it is just become conscious on what your fears are. Become conscious of the limiting conversations that you tell yourself. Become conscious of truly what your heart desires, and then just go for it. A lot of people say, don't be afraid. I say, fudge, be afraid and still go after it. Like, you don't have to give up fear. Like sometimes fear is part of it, but tell not today, fear. You're not going to stop me today. I'm still going to go for it, and then just go for it. And when you fall, because you will fall, there will be times where the results are not what you were looking for. There will be times where you think you failed or something. There will be times where you're going to want to quit. That's a time where maybe you just get to give yourself a little grace and a break, and then go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, I learned how not to do it. I learned that lesson. Now let me do it again a different way, and go for it. There's this saying by Zig Ziglar that I actually have it on my signature line, that it says, when obstacles arise, it is not the stopping point for you to achieve the dreams. It's just for you to look for a different direction to get there. So it's just not allowing obstacles to stop you, but learn a different way to get there and still get to the direction that you want to get to. So I am 47 years old. My biggest success story has been raising my kids, and they're doing amazing and helping thousands of families achieve homeownership. And at the same time, I am super grateful because when they achieve homeownership, I can also give back to my kids and my family, and it's a win-win for everybody. So I think that's one of the biggest lessons. Make it a win-win for everybody. Like the more you win, I will win. The more somebody else, achieves their goal, I will achieve mine. So I think the next step for me is like just continue to help more families achieve homeownership, achieve wealth, use some of the tools that have helped me in the past achieved it, and doing it together.
I love that. What would you say are the keys to somebody developing their money mindset? Do you use visualization? Do you journal? How would somebody get really clear and really set their intention about achieving their success and wealth?
For me, the first thing is, I meditate. I meditate, I connect, because that clears a lot of the fears that I might have, or a lot of like the limiting beliefs, and I get clarity on where or who I get to go next. I have actually, and I work this a lot. Like I've actually attracted like a lot of investors into my business doing it this way, just meditation. And then I just put it out to the universe. The next thing that I say, okay, I'm not going to focus on the problem. What is the solution? Okay, today's solution is I get to make $10,000 today, right? Okay, $10,000, $10,000. I'm putting it out to the universe. Give me the answer so I can create and manifest $10,000. And then my phones ring and I get two new clients, two new pre approvals. And that starts creating the ripple effect. Like I'm going to be helping families achieve what they want. And at the same time, I get what I want. The first thing is definitely the meditation and then following through, because there's no such thing if you don't follow through, you don't put it to action.
Yeah, give somebody an example because I think a lot of people end up missing that, right? They're like, "Oh, I will just put it out there."
So meditation's part of attracting. Like I'm gonna attract two new clients, and that goes through my meditation. Or even sometimes meditation, it happens for me where it says like, "Oh, remember this person. Just pick up the phone and call this person." So then I follow through with action. I pick up the phone and I call that realtor, or I pick up the phone and I call that client. And I'm always right in like relationship. And because I'm always on the go, like my personality, and I mean, those that know me, it's like, okay, what's next? Like, okay, like let's go here, let's go there. And I'm always like on the go. So for me, meditation's like, okay, let's get clear on what the next step for me is that gets us closer to what the goal will be. And let's get clear on attracting what it's going to be part of like the goals that I'm going to be achieving this week. I'm also about just setting up the plan. There's got to be the balance. I'm very good at setting up the goal of how much income I want to be generating, let's say for 2026. How many families do I get to help so I can achieve that income? And then I'm very logistic where I break it down to how many calls per day or how many people do I get to be in front of per day so I know that I will achieve that income, right? So for example, if by December of 2026, the certain income, it's that I get to help, let's say 80 families for the year, then 80 families, if I break it down per month, and then I go break it down per week, and then I go break it down per day, how many families do I get to be in front of every day? So at the end of December, I would have helped the 80 families that I told myself I would help.
Yeah, I think that's a magic formula and something that would be very helpful for a lot of students in their leadership program because it's about teaching people how do you work backwards from your end goal. You need to be tracking how many calls you need to make because if you know how many people you need to enroll in the business and you're tracking make 40 calls to get 10 clients, now you're really setting yourself up and you've got a formula, and then you can also measure yourself against it to get better and better.
Absolutely. And that's where the action comes in because it's not just spiritual, it's not magic, right? It's like, okay, we get to put it into action. Who else do I get to be in front of?
Yes. I did get a question from somebody who wants to know a little bit more about your method of meditation. You know, there's guided meditations, there's quiet meditations, there's one where you have a mantra. Could you share a little bit about your meditation practice?
So I have several meditations. There's actually one that I created that I recorded myself with the music and everything. And it's kind of like a visualization. At the end of the year, I go into this gratitude with myself. And then I do this meditation and I look at how the year is going to be based on just connecting myself, what I'm going to be celebrating by December 31st of the following year. And I connect to that. And I feel like that's part of what also puts the energy out there on how my year will go. And I also have one that I did like for the next 10 years, and I do one for the next 20 years. So it's almost like a visualization visualizing on a daily basis. I have meditations right now because I am in Journey Within. There's a meditation through Journey Within that we have on a daily basis. But there's also a meditation that I do that it's called open heart meditation. I'm a huge believer that my heart, as long as it's connected to my creator and my source, I will have clear mind and I can go on to what the next thing is. So I don't allow fear or stress or dissatisfaction to get in the way. So it's very important for my heart to be clean, like without any negative emotions attached to it. And then my heart tells my mind like, okay, let's do it. Go on. Go on to what's next.
Uh, like, do you meditate once a day, and for how long? Like,
I meditate every day, minimum of 5 to 10 minutes every morning. And then during the weekend, I tend to go to like on a nature meditation or nature walk and then just meditate with the minimum like 30 minutes.
beautiful. Someone else was asking. You talked a lot about your story and uh, the culture that you were born into, growing up in Mexico. What do you think is the impact that a parent can have on kids, breaking up some of the generational cultural norms? Like, what do you think you're passing on to your kids and their kids?
I talk to my kids from the moment that they could understand finance, like because there's this conversation that people have to have a finance, money, the relationship with money. So from the time that they understood finance, I taught them about the meanings of credit. Like here in the United States, how important it is for somebody to have good credit and be responsible with their credit. I talk to them about how they can start leveraging real estate so they can build generational wealth. I talk to them about wealth does not get built from one day to the other. Family wealth gets built from generation to generation. And what I'm starting to do with my kids is that I might not see fully the results of what we've been doing, but they will see it. And I'm sure my grandkids will see it. My grandkids are not even here yet. I have no grandkids, but I'm already thinking about them. And it starts with education. Educating them on the value of the dollar and also educating them on if I have a dollar, I have a choice on whether to spend this dollar because I'm looking for this instant satisfaction right now, or do I save this dollar so I can make more and then invest it into later on what's going to give me more satisfaction? The conversation was the same with my oldest, my 27-year-old, and it was the same with my 19-year-old. And the results are so different between the two until now my 19-year-old finally got it. He understands the value of money now. He understands if you really think long term, where would you want to be? I would love for them to be able to retire in their 30s, that they build this wealth where they can actually retire in their 30s and their 40s. Compared to mine, I'll probably retire when I'm in my 50s and my 60s. But I already talked to them about that. I've already had that conversation with them, how they can get there, taking it one step at a time and using real estate as the vehicle to get there. Because for me, that's what has worked. Real estate, investing in real estate, buying properties, selling properties. That's what's been working for me.
I love it. One of your fans here says, Anna, I love your resilience. How does your meditation support you with staying focused on you? You spoke about kids and family and others, but how does Anna love on Anna?
That's one of the biggest thing too. Like meditation, I think it's more for me so I can stay sane and at peace. And there's another thing that I do for me. Not only do I meditate, but I love to dance. Like I have like my morning ritual where I kind of like just get down and I dance and I move my energy. And that's a way for me to release that stress because it's like the movement, moving our body. And that's a way for me to show my self love. Dressing up, like doing my hair, putting my makeup on. It's a ritual that I recently, maybe like a few years ago, where I started just working on my feminine energy and healing my feminine energy. And it's showing myself like that self love through the meditation, like my dancing ritual, like me having like this whole ritual of getting beautiful for myself are ways that I show myself how much I love myself.
Anna, may I ask, you've got somebody out there that's a mom and she's not really making it. And let's say she's like you were, she's raising two or three kids on her own. What could she do to get started? Like, everything you're saying is so beautiful and you build on it. So, what would you say to a brand new beginner, young woman that does feel buried? What's number one thing she does?
The number one, it's, I'm going to say, don't make decisions based on fear or desperation, because we always make the wrong decision when it's based on fear and desperation. The second thing is, remember, where you are standing today is not where you're going to be a year from now. That's the bottom line. It will not, but you get to do something different. And the third thing is just becoming conscious on what are different ways that you can make additional income. Like, let's say you're just not meeting the expectation today. Let's say your salary or whatever you're bringing in today, or you're depending on child support, or depending on somebody else that's controlling your finances, it's controlling your income. What if this person was to focus on her passions? Based on her passions, where can she actually make income? Where can she start making more money? Meaning making a list 1 through 100 that she can start generating that extra income. I hire people sometimes to come and organize my house because I am disaster, right? Like I'm like not the best at keeping things organized, but I need things to be organized. So I might be somebody that can hire somebody that loves to organize the closet. That's somewhere where somebody can generate extra income. Babysitting. You have 3 kids, you're stuck at home, you can't go anywhere. Start a child care. One of my really close friends from high school in California, she has a child care from her house. She got her licensing. She watches like 10 kids. She loves it. It's her passion watching kids and making over $250,000 a year. So there's so many other options on how to generate income, how to attract income. And it starts just by making that one list. But most people limit themselves, or it's fear that holds them back. That fear of selling, no, it's not going to work. Yes, it will. Once you get started, it will work. You just get to get started and start with number one. Like if number one doesn't work, then go on to number two. And number two doesn't work, then go on to number three and start building that additional income.
Anna, I'm listening to you and you're making so much sense. You're so logical in your path and keeping it simple that anybody could do it. Have you thought about maybe doing 7 days worth of day one, two, three, or maybe a 30-day video series? So young get started people or older get started people. You're talking to everybody. That's what I love about it.
I thought about doing a little podcast or something, right? But I get to do it. I get to do it and do a 30-day, get started, and yeah.
I think it could relate to your industry too. Thinking about what Robin's saying and what you're talking about tonight, it could be a 30-day path to home ownership where maybe one of the days is this is where I'm at right now, but where do I want to be? And I start now and I get the mindset right and I start to make this list of 100 things. It's also some coaching around like, what does it take to get your first mortgage? What's available to you as a first time person? How much should you need to save? And then, like, how do you just kind of get those wheels starting? Because it's also like serving that community that I know you're so impassioned about, getting people in their homes. And so maybe somebody that is where you were breaking into their kids' piggy bank to get that $40, maybe
I
they don't
know.
realize that that day that they break that piggy bank is actually the day they took the first step to having a home in a year or 2 years or whatever it might be.
I'm totally inspired by what you've created. And how long have we known each other, Anna?
Oh my goodness. What, 15 years?
Think so. I think
17 years.
and all the stages you've been through. And you are literally teaching people how to get started in simple steps. And I think that is a beautiful gift you have.
Thank you.
Well,
I do what I can. Me too. Like definitely I love to see people say the impact that this video will cost, because that gives us more ammunition to going. I think it's so important, like, to get that feedback, and also the feedback on how I can improve as well. Like, what can I do better to help others achieve their goals?
So, what would be the best way if somebody wanted to ask you a question, be able to be in touch?
Maybe give them your social media. Then they can,
Okay.
right?
Great idea.
My Instagram is Ana Ivette underscore build wealth in real estate.
Love it. I'll add that on the links that we have so people can find that. And I'm getting a question from somebody about when you first started, did you have mentors? What called you forth to start taking those steps?
Yeah, there's always mentors and books and through the journey. I don't believe that anybody can do it alone. Like, there's always a team, there's always people that are on our sidelines cheering us on. And I think the biggest thing where people forget to do is to invest in themselves. And for me, like, I invest in myself a lot. I take a lot of trainings, obviously, like with ChoiceCenter, I've taken, I think, every single training that ChoiceCenter offers. And I've done other trainings outside of, the country. I've actually taken trainings in Mexico, and it's been for the purpose of improving myself, but at the same time, getting like the tools so I can support others in achieving their goals. And one of the biggest thing, I think, if I was to put what is the number one priority that every person should do in their lives, is invest in themselves. Invest in seeing where they're at now and truly seeing the version that they can become, and investing so they can close that gap. So that is the most precious things that we all have, our uniqueness. We're all beautiful and unique, and sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. And it's just giving ourselves that grace of enjoying life as much as we can, and truly investing in ourselves. And if there's certain people that maybe don't have the money capacity yet to invest in themselves, then do that extra little step. Just try to, figure it out. What would be that little thing that you can do on a daily basis so you can bring in $100 a day extra on a monthly basis? That's 3,000. Right? If you bring in $200, that's 6,000. So it's as easy as that. Focus on the next dollar. Focus on the next $100. You don't have to focus on bringing in 10,000 yet. Just focus on 100 right now, and then multiply by 100, and there's the other 10,000.
Brilliant. It's that mindset shift. I think that's one of your greatest gifts of having a money mindset. I've got a question from someone. One of the things that you said that's made a difference for you is how you make it a priority to surround yourself with people that have different, like mentalities, different perspectives. And they're asking, like, you know, how do you identify those people? How have you found them?
I always look at what I want and somebody else has it. That's who I want to surround myself with, right? Like, I see, like, I've been working for the last 15 years so much, like, on my career. And I always, like, I interview top producers. Like, I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and be like, do you have 5 minutes? I just want to pick your brain, right? You're closing, or you're helping 1,000 families a year, closing 100 right now. How do I get to that? What's working for you? What are you doing different that I'm not seeing? And then I just take one tip and I implement one thing. Because I don't expect myself to be helping 1,000 families from one day to the other. It's a journey to get there. The other thing is, a couple years ago, I really wanted to attract the man into my life, my significant other. And I worked on healing, and I took relationship training at Choice Center, and then I took a training in Mexico. And I know it sounds weird, like, trainings. Why do you need a training? Well, I needed to be able to see myself in the mirror on what wasn't working for the last 15 years, on why I had not attracted a man into my life that I chose, that I wanted to be with. And I did what I had to do, and that's going amazing.
Manifested someone fantastic. Yes.
What I hear as you share very repetitively is that you have a clear intention. You know exactly what it is you're looking to shift or you're looking to create, and you don't stop. You're nonstop about it and you're relentless. And so we are all human and we all get stuck. So, what's your method to unstuck yourself?
I move. I buy a new property and move.
Okay. Well, for beginners, how would a beginner, what kind of things would you suggest for them? Because you have been through all the levels.
Oh my gosh, yes. For beginners, like somebody, let's say I'm talking back to myself 13 years ago, right? When I had to break that little piggy bank. The first thing was put fear aside, put any negative emotion aside, because that's not going to help me get to where I want to get. Like that's just the enemy of getting started. And then to unstuck, like do something different, something that you have not done. I remember just asking myself, what is my biggest fear? What is something that I'm afraid of today? And I would go and do it. Like I was so afraid of talking in public, so afraid. Like, I mean, I think one time I forgot my name. Like they're like, just introduce yourself. I'm like, like I don't remember. Like what? I don't like who am I? So I knew that was something uncomfortable. So I would do it more often until I remember my name, and then I would be able to talk, and I would expose myself to that on a daily basis. And I think that's part of like the habits that I have as well. Like something when I feel that I'm getting stuck, then I ask myself, what am I afraid of right now? Like what would be something that I would just be afraid of, and I go and do it.
You are self driven with everything. I hear it over and over. I want to say you are real. You are relevant. You are relentless. You keep going. I've known you for many years. I think it's 15. And every year you're leveling up many, many levels every year. And yet you've held on to some very basic things that are very repeatable and very duplicatable. Like listening to you tonight, I've been in business since I was 15 years old. I'm listening to you tonight and I'm thinking you have just accumulated a list, a whole magical bag of if this happens, try this. If this is going on, try this. Like you're an endless fountain of wisdom and courage.
Oh, thank you, Robin. Thank you. I'm starting my book, FYI. Like my goal is to be completed by the end of next year. But it's really focusing on the four biggest relationships: the relationship with my creator, the relationship with myself, the relationship with others, and the relationship with money. Because those four relationships, when I learn how to balance them and just be in an amazing relationship with all of it, then my life is on purpose. And I live joyfully, and I truly learn to enjoy every moment. Even when it's moments of breakdown, when I'm like crying, like, "Ooh," I enjoy that and I give myself grace. And then I have my breakdown, and then I'm like, okay, breakdown. Let's go. What's next?
So we definitely have to have you back on to talk about the book. So you're a leadership grad and you're a coach. You've coached many times at ChoiceCenter. So what's your buy when for your book?
December 1st, 2026. Like that's when it'll be up and running, published. I don't know the title yet, so I'm still meditating on that.
I would love to hear with all this knowledge that you're just splashing. What has been the one thing in Journey Within that has influenced you? Because I think you're in about 4 or 5 months at this point. I would love to hear what the influence has been.
Oh my God, it's been so powerful, this journey. So much learning about myself and really seeing my darkness and my light, right? And we reject the darkness inside of us. And I think this journey has truly embraced my darkness, what I call my darkness, my ego speaking. I embrace it so much that I feel when I do acknowledge it and I embrace it and I give it its place, I've been able to manifest and create and attract a lot more faster than I was before, because I was able to just embrace myself fully. Even like I just said, in breakdown, it's so difficult for people to talk about their breakdowns because it's not acceptable or people are not supposed to fail. And it's like I have breakdowns. I had a breakdown on Sunday with my teenage daughter that we were both like, ah, mom. And then we're like, okay, calm down. What's next? It's just about being human and accepting every aspect of myself and giving myself that grace and that love, and then using that so I can become who I am. Because I think I'm already an amazing version of myself,
Yes.
and being that version to the people that surround me.
I love you and your answers, your wisdom. I cannot say thank you loud enough for being so real and relevant and authentic. Thank you. I want everybody out there to see this.
Thank you, Robin, and thank you, Corrine. Like, you guys have been a huge impact in my life, and you are part of who I get to say thank you to as well, because thanks to you for the trainings that you guys do and the time and the energy that you care, that you truly care. That gives me the inspiration and the motivation. It's like, okay, I get to go to the next level. I deserve it. And the people that are surrounding me, they deserve it as well. And it started honestly, like if I could pinpoint a time in my life where things started changing and shifting in my life, it's when I graduated LV92. That was where I can pinpoint and say that's where my journey started. And thanks to that, I am becoming the person that I know I was meant to be on this earth and walk on this earth. So anybody that's listening, if they have no idea who Choice Center is or the trainings, like, do it, because this is definitely the impact, and it'll give the tools that people need to accomplish their goals.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
And yeah, what would you say were those tools? Everybody asks us, oh, is this sustainable? And what we love about these podcasts is we talk to people, you're a 15-year grad, and so you get to see like what people do with it and how it scales with them. What would you say were the things that in LV92 gave you some of those tools? What have you used and scaled over the years?
Well, I mean, part of it was the mindset, shifting the mentality of going from scarcity to abundance, shifting the limiting beliefs to acknowledging myself and knowing that I was going to accomplish it no matter what. When you're in that room, you have no other choice but to face yourself and be like, okay, here I am. There's a mirror. Everything that has not worked in my life up until this point, nobody else is responsible, but this person here in this mirror looking at me. But at the same time, this same person is wise enough and smart enough and powerful enough to move forward and accomplish everything that is coming. So for me, one of the biggest thing was just my limiting beliefs, becoming conscious and shifting them, changing the conversation.
It's
Wow.
extraordinary.
Amazing.
We couldn't be prouder of you or more inspired by you. We couldn't thank you enough for how you're rippling into your kids, the families that you are changing their lives through home ownership and mentoring. It's really extraordinary, Anna. Thank you so much.
It's so beautiful because you've kept it so simple that literally anybody listening, from beginner to experienced people, are going to love hearing you tonight. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.